Peace and blessings. This is Crumbs, representing Style Elements crew out of the West Coast, also affiliated with KILLAFORNIA crew. If you don't know who I am or who my crew is, go ahead and jump down that SEC Monster Squad rabbit hole, get your mind blown. So I can't tell you exactly where or when the threading style was officially originated. I can only really speak on what I saw coming up and the things that I've heard. I know that in the 80s, Mr. Wiggles from Rocksteady crew was highly influential in bringing the threading style into breaking, with one of his first b-boy ground threads being the floor track thread. In the mid-80s, Wiggles also developed a footwork pattern that he labeled Spider-Man footwork. Now, it may not be a threading style per se, but it consists of a lot of wraps, and wraps are used for b-boys nowadays as a transitional tool into threads or out of threads. I believe that wraps, connections, and hooks are all in the thread family. They're not necessarily full threads, but they lead to threading. Quick demonstration, wraps would be like wrapping around any side, boom, hooked, under, stuff like that, right? Those are more wraps without actually threading through, okay? Or threading through with your leg. I remember watching videos with my crew back in the early 90s. Some cats from Europe, they were doing some threads. I remember seeing Amigo from Flying Steps do a few threads. Storm had some wraps. I don't recall him doing any threads, but he definitely had some hooks and wraps and connections for sure. Storm's partner Swift had a couple threads. From my recollection, that's the guys I remember that were playing around with that style in the early 90s from Europe. The first video I saw with b-boys doing any kind of threads was the Sidewalk Breakers battle, which was in San Jose, and that was around 1984 or 1985. One guy, he came out with some body threads, but he would thread all the way through and pop up to a bridge and then turn and repeat it. Body thread, bridge, body thread, bridge. The first power thread that I seen in front of my eyes was the early 90s, my crewmate Quality, and his power thread was the old Kid and Play, which is like a fundamental leg thread. Boom. He would do that, but jump first, which is an air thread, grab it in the air, thread through while doing 360, and come down in a corkscrew straight into footwork, right? So that right there was the first power thread that I saw. And that's like 92, 93. We also watched videos of a crew called Bag of Tricks from Canada. And you had cats like Gizmo, who really, for me, took the threading style to another level. Combinations, one-arm handstand thread. He had knee spin threads, continuous knee spin threads. Gizmo, for me, doesn't get nearly the credit he deserved. Super innovative, one of the best masterminds in the game. We saw him and his crew Bag of Tricks on a tape called Bootleg Betty that was released around 1994, if I'm not mistaken. So we had that video. Gizmo was doing all these crazy threads. Benzo had dope threads. They were a threading crew. That was one of their strong points. And they also had dope thread routines. So those are kind of the thread inspirations that I saw in breaking. But even going back before that, like in Kung Fu movies, I believe somewhere in the 70s, also in the late 80s, you had the freestyle dancers doing body threads through each other. So one person would create a hole and the other person would jump through it and they'd move out of it, right? So freestyle dancers were definitely flipping threads as well. I also remember in 1995, a really dope battle between Rocksteady crew and Imperial JBs from Japan. I remember Crazy Legs had a pretzel thread on the floor, a ground thread, right? So that's another battle to watch if you want to see kind of origins of the ground threading style. In the mid-90s, I feel like myself and Jayrawk really took the threading style to another level. with longer, intricate thread combinations, using all levels of threads combined from the top to the bottom, original power threads, and taking two-man thread routines to another level as well. You can see this in 1996 Radiotron Battle, our two-man thread routines, and also individual thread styles we were doing back then. Jayrawk was the first guy I seen do like backspin thread. He had baby windmill thread through to swipes. He would do air threads, icy ice thread, jump rope thread from footwork, jump through both hands, boom. Low ground thread, power thread. He had this one power thread. He's like on the floor. He grabbed the back of his foot and dive in to do like a coin drop, grabbing his foot, do a aerial track and land in the half split. That thread right there was crazy. For me, my first power thread was my Crumbs thread split, which was the one-arm handstand, grab the foot, thread through it, drop into the splits, boom. I would flow out of that into some crazy flexible body and leg threads, and throughout the years, I flipped that one move with endless amounts of variations, like from my signature stacking style to really stalling the one arm, then dropping it down. One of my favorite combos was Flare 90 thread split. I figured out how to get in and out of that move from pretty much any style of breaking. I was obsessed with the threading techniques in the 90s and still am till this day. My thought process has always been, if it's been done before, I'm gonna flip it. If it hasn't, why not create it? I wanted to elevate the art doing complete thread rounds by telling a story from beginning, middle to end, and the delivery had to have that creative solid flow with the right blend of whips, precision, power, and flexibility. In order to demonstrate threading at the highest levels, you gotta understand how to thread in any position that your body may be in. And of course, this is best used when mixing it through different styles of breaking, threading in and out of the styles. There's arm threads, leg threads, we got ground threads, air threads, single, double, triple threads, body threads, power threads, clothing threads, through your t-shirt, through your pant leg, inside invert threads. I mean, the list goes on and on. But the basic ground thread foundation, I would say, is the basic leg thread, which is half split, grab the toe, thread through, thread out. That's a basic ground thread. The basic fundamental top threads would be like the kid and play, like I showed you before. Grab the toe, jump through, or clasping the hands together, threading the leg through, okay? There's also fundamental direction changes on the top. Instead of going through like this, right? You start from the back, take it all the way through. Some b-boys that come to my mind while thinking of threading style: Mr. Wiggles and Crazy Legs from Rocksteady Crew, Gizmo and Benzo from Bag of Tricks, myself and Jayrawk, Style Elements, Migas from Boogie Brats, Dizzy, Supernaturals, Benji from Division Alpha, and Thesis from Knuckleheads Cali. Study the greats. From all the people I mentioned in this interview, every individual is going to bring you a different threading style. I want to give a big shout out to all the b-boys and b-girls around the world doing the threading style, keeping it alive, evolving it. Keep it fun, keep it creative, and just enjoy the process. Crumbs, Style Elements.